Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Carlee Russell. She is missing out of Alabama, and I find her case to be kind of scary and pretty much points to her being kidnapped because there's a lot of evidence, so I want to talk about it. It's not often we get like a case where all signs point to a kidnapping. There's always usually like some questions in the air. But what we know so far is Carlee Russell was just headed home. She had worked that night and she had stopped to get food for her and her mother because she lived at home with her parents. So she's driving down a highway in Alabama and she sees a kid about 3 or 4 on the side of the road by themselves. So what I found out through my research is that while she's driving down the highway, she was already on the phone with her uncle's girlfriend. And as she's talking to her uncle's girlfriend, she says, "Oh, there is a child on the side of the highway." And so she says she's going to pull over. So she calls 911 and tells them she sees a child on the side of the highway. And then somehow she's talking to a family member after she called 911. So I'm not sure if it's the uncle's girlfriend again or if it's another family member, but regardless, she's on the phone with a family member when she gets off the call from 911. So so the person who she's on the phone with, the family member, hears her get out of her car and approach the child. She hears her say, "Are you okay?" And the person she was on the phone with never heard the child respond, but they heard Carlee scream. So that is something they're not saying in the news report. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. If somebody heard her actually talk to this child, it shows the child was there. And for her to scream, it sounds like someone grabbed her or kidnapped her. So when the police arrived, there's no sign of Carlee. There's no sign of the child. But they see Carlee's car. It had the door open. It was still running. And it had her cell phone inside. So I've heard that sex traffickers are using children to lure women into situations where they can be kidnapped. Now, even when I was little, I remember hearing of stories where people heard a baby in their front lawn. Like they heard a baby outside and it was dark and like late. And then a woman would go out to check on where the baby cry is coming from. And there would be no baby, but someone would try to kidnap her. And the baby was basically like a recording back then, is what I always heard. So I always knew like some people used this tactic, but I personally never heard of anything like close by about it. And then lately I had been hearing in Mexico particularly, I hear that the cartels will do something on the side of the road to make a passerby worried for the person on the side of the road and they stop to help, and then they get like robbed or beat or kidnapped. So it's something going on in Mexico, and then apparently it's going on here now. So you don't really want to say like what you would have done, because when you think about it, you would want to get that child out of the traffic, because a small child that age doesn't necessarily know not to run into the highway. So you can't just call 911 and then just like drive on, because what if the kid runs into traffic? And then again, you don't want to call 911 and just drive on, because someone could kidnap the kid. So I have two theories on what I think happened. The first one is obvious and what I've kind of mentioned, and that is that a sex trafficker or whatever has a kid, at their disposal through kidnapping, or it's somebody they know's kid. They just have the kid walk down the highway, and they are like maybe further back, or their car is further ahead. And then when someone pulls over, they're hoping it's like a woman. And then they kidnap the woman, grab the kid because it's their kid, and drive on. So that would be the first scenario, because I also heard like her wig and her shoes were found at the scene. So it kind of sounds like a struggle went on. Now, the second scenario, we have to kind of go here, even though I'm sure she's a nice person who wouldn't do this, but it could also be she had planned to disappear on her own. Maybe she's got like a mental health problem, or she met some guy and wanted to go off with him and just made up this plan so that she could get away and be with him without maybe judgment from her family. So that scenario would be that she planned this whole thing, that she purposely called her uncle's girlfriend so she could have some kind of witness to the fake child being on the side of the road. And then she calls 911, so there's that kind of validity to it. And then when she calls the family member again, she asks if the kid's okay, which makes it sound real, but as you remember, the family member did not hear the child say anything. So in this case and scenario, the kid is not really there. She's just saying it to get the point across, like that it is there, because she's trying to set up her own disappearance. And then the kid is not real, so it doesn't answer. So then she screams to make it look like someone took her. And she leaves behind her shoes and her wig and all that on purpose. And I'm not saying that that even sounds like what happened to me, but I'm saying that we have to cover all bases. I always like to think of all scenarios, just because in the past we have had things like this happen where women pretend to be kidnapped for whatever reason. So those are the two things I think could have happened to Carlee. It's terrifying to think that it would be a sex trafficking, or somebody even said for her organs. Like, that's crazy to me. But I hope they find her, and I'll update you guys if I find out anything. So I'll be trying to make more videos soon. I know I've been slacking lately because I've been really busy, but I want to get back to it and back to my old format where I'm like just in a random parking lot talking to you guys. So I'll see you in the next one.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.